Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I am your host. Folks, let me tell you, what Goldilocks is sharing today is highly important to understand and know what affects the value of the Vietnamese dong moving up in its rate. Also, how much movement of foreign currencies is now happening in the global banking system, with reports from the Bank of International Settlements. What are the four agencies that oversee the RVGCR? The Bank of International Settlements, the World Bank, U.S. Treasury, and the IMF. Let's jump right into what Goldilocks is sharing today. Right now, quote, adjusting imports of medium and heavy duty vehicles, medium and heavy duty vehicle parts, and buses into the United States, end quote. What does this have to do with currency exchange rates? You may ask. I'm glad you asked that question, because this is a new law that's being implemented into the U.S. Federal Register, where laws are implemented. This has to do with tariffs. Yep, tariffs. The tariffs that were imposed on Vietnam. Remember, currency revaluation is likely to be a priority of the second Trump administration, large in part due to the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. Tariffs. And here we have the imposing of these tariffs, which will affect exchange rates. I'll continue. Yes, Goldilocks is saying these adjustments to imports into the United States have significant impact on trade and can indirectly affect exchange rates. The core of the action is the imposition of tariffs, Goldilocks is stating, which are a form of trade policy designed to make imported goods more expensive, impacting trade flows by raising costs and potentially shifting production. You see how trade, the increase in tariffs, these taxes, which are tariffs that are imposed on these countries, how it makes it more expensive for countries to import goods into the United States. So therefore, when they import these goods, cost them more, and in order for them, their country, let's say Vietnam, to keep up with the growth they wish to have in their country, the growth of their economy, they need to offset the increased taxes from the tariffs that are imposed on them by shipping their goods into the United States. How would they offset that? The loss. They got to do something with their currency. How tariffs affect trade, Goldilocks shares it. And think of this, folks. When you think of how tariffs affect trade, think of how tariffs affect trade and currency rates. Increased cost of imports. The new tariffs of 25% on medium and heavy duty vehicles and their parts and 10% on buses make imported vehicles and components more expensive for buyers in the United States. So that cost on us. But the cost of Vietnam has to be made up. Incentivizing domestic production More people are going to want to produce. Vietnam is going to want to produce more vehicles and ship them to the United States. Impact on supply chains. These tariffs can disrupt global supply chains, leading to higher costs on parts. Folks, there has to be an offset. They have to make up for the loss in these increased tariffs, these increased imports that they're now being faced with. How it relates to exchange rates. Yeah, I know you wanted to get to that quick. This is all you want to hear. How it relates to exchange rates, currency advantage. Tariffs can make a country's currency more competitive if it makes imports from countries with strong currencies more expensive. A situation that could benefit companies using a country with a weaker currency for manufacturing. Vietnam has a weaker currency. Retaliation. Other countries may respond to these tariffs with their own retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. and its goods, which can impact trade balances and currency values. Are you beginning to see the organic way how currency rates begin to move? Because it's through supply and demand in the open market, on the water, through trade. Folks, this is written in Forex. It shows the definition of Forex of how currency rates move, and it tells you through supply and demand. And it's beginning to happen. Well, it always has, but more so now with tariffs. Market adjustments. Goldilocks is sharing. The tariffs could lead to shifts in global trade, which over time could influence exchange rates as the supply and demand for currencies change to reflect new trade patterns, meaning with the new tariffs, countries will begin to shift and move their supply chains around the world, which will affect how currencies move around the world. While these tariffs, Goldilocks is stating, do not directly set exchange rates, the resulting trade imbalances, currency values, and the retaliatory measures from other countries can all influence exchange rates. And then Goldilocks shares the actual law that goes into the Federal Register for this to go into effect. Remember the Federal Register? Where laws are recorded right into the archives? Have you heard of the Gazette? Where it is the same as our Federal Register, where laws are recorded to go into effect into the archives? Now Goldilocks is sharing on Vietnam's Forex trade market upgrade effects. Global currency market turnover has reached $9.6 trillion per day since April. Let's say 10 trillion. I'm around it to the nearest higher number. $10 trillion per day in foreign currency transactions since April of this year. Prior to that, it was almost 8 trillion. These are factors here, Goldilocks shares, that's contributing to the rise in global currency turnover. Increased market volatility, meaning countries around the world and their currencies are reacting to the trade negotiations and the tariffs that were imposed by President Trump on these countries. Technological advancements, the growth of automation, folks, and the algorithms. Rising retail institutional participation, central bank activity. Who controls the currencies for the ones we hold? For all the currencies, central banks. Shifts in monetary policy, interest rates, and currency interventions by central banks influence Forex liquidity and trading volumes. Double-digit growth. Citigroup has now made a significant move in activity and focus into Vietnam. Citigroup, one of the largest financial institutions in the world. Citigroup's global head of Forex, Flavio Figueroa, reported double-digit growth in the bank's in Citibank's trading volumes for 2025. 150% growth in Vietnam. 150% in Forex trading in Vietnam increase. By the end of September, Forex trading volumes among institutional investors in Vietnam increased 150% more compared to the same time last year. Think about that. 150% increase in Forex trading in Vietnam. 150% growth within 1 year. Hmm. Attraction of institutional investors. These are investors that come from all over the world flocking to Vietnam to invest. Growth in corporate clients. Goldilocks reported yesterday over 10,000 CEOs are being trained in Vietnam to take over companies and to create companies. Citigroup offers digital Forex management solutions in over 120 countries. You don't think they know what's coming? They're ahead of it and they're a part of it. Vietnam just had a digital transformation conference that Goldilocks is sharing as well, where it outlines a bold push towards universal digital access by 2026. This is the full digital integration of Vietnam into the global banking system under the new digital asset regulations that Vietnam just passed in their parliament that goes into effect January 1st, 2026. Digital asset regulations, the equivalent of the digital asset regulations that the United States passed, called the Genius Act, called the Crypto Clarity Act. Remember those digital asset regulations? President Trump, his second or third day in office, he put into effect the digital asset working group. Digital assets. Remember, we've always showed you that Goldilocks put it in writing. Digital asset regulations is what we needed for the currency revaluation. Because in the new digital banking system, you need digital assets to move the paper currency. So Vietnam has strongly implemented these reforms for digital assets. The initiative enables improved foreign currency exchange for the banking system by providing universal digital infrastructure for verification, payments, and currency exchange transactions. See, folks, this digital access that Vietnam and digital asset regulations that Vietnam has passed actually allows them to springboard into the global banking system with newer, higher rates through a float. As the markets react and trade begins to shift and move throughout the world. Everything is connected to everything. And you must pay attention. But you pay attention first with establishing relationships with the actual financial institutions that are involved with Forex. Unless you choose to wait for someone to contact you to tell you to go to a military base where you need credentials. Folks, do you not know you need credentials to get onto a military base? Civilians can't just walk up into a military base. What do you think they're going to do? Have the red carpet rolled out for you to tell you where you go to exchange your currency? Or redeem your bonds? If that was the case, there would be no military because they will all have these collectible bonds and currencies in exchange, and we will have no military. Does this make sense to you? military base for civilians to go. There's not even banks on all the military bases. Some credit unions like Navy Federal and others. But so there's secret facilities that are being built on a military base for people to come and exchange or redeem. So what's going to happen to this facility after the RV? They just going to tear it back down? Come on, people. You believe this? So people are going to rush to a military base as civilians. And you're going to go through a checkpoint. What do? You show them your Zim? You show them your rims? You show them your other collectible dragon, yellow, pink, and polka dot rainbow bonds? And say, hey, I'm here to redeem. Show me where the redemption center is? Why would people, them damn officers they'd be going in to redeem and exchange themselves. There would be so many, what do you call it? Dishonorable discharges. The damn military folks, they'd be running up out of the exchange and at their own military base and retire quick. Who's going to protect America? Who's going to protect us? Does it make sense to you? But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, establish your relationships. You can come into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room where it is only read only now. You can hit the search bar, find all the information you need. It's there for you. We love you. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.